Welcome back to the Intro to Python video series. We're going to talk about gathering user input from the console and using its results. As you can see in Replit, we have part of a program including these input functions, which are built-in functions that listen to user input from the console and returns a string. So when we press run, the program will prompt us for numbers. So we're going to put the numbers 2 and 3. But as you can see, the program doesn't do anything after because we haven't written more code. So we want to find the sum between these two numbers. To do that, we want to write a variable called num, and we're going to assign it to x and y, the variables that have been assigned to input. And we're going to print that. So when we press run again, we should get 5 if we put the same thing. But we have 23, so what is wrong? There's a logic error. As you can see, 3 has been appended to 2 rather than added. So that means x and y are strings, because I've told you earlier that input returns a string. So how do we get the sum of 2 and 3 rather than the concatenated of these two numbers? We want to talk about typecasting. And typecasting is the process of converting one data type to another. In this case, we want to convert a string into a number. And just a quick note, numeric types are broken down into 4 types, but the most common one we will deal with is integers and floats. Floats are essentially numbers with decimals but for the sake of this tutorial, we'll put integer. So what you want to do is you're going to use the built-in cast function int. We can wrap it around x and y. So if you run this again and do the same thing, you would get 5, our desired answer. But what happens if you put a decimal as a number? We can run this again, but instead of 2, we can put 2.5 and 3. As you can see, we have an error, a value error, invalid literal for integer with base 10, 2.5. This is basically saying that you can only typecast a string to an integer if the string is represented as an integer, so it will not accept a float, because floats deal with decimals. So if you want this to work, you can put float instead of int. You can run this again. 2.5 and 3, and you get 5.5. We also want to talk about implicit typecasting, and for example, if you want to add the sum of a float and an integer, let's say 2.5 and a 3, this will still work because integers are automatically converted into floats and vice versa when they are added or done any arithmetic operation together.